Yo, what is up everybody? Waypoint here, and if you guys obviously have been watching my channel for the last good couple of videos that I've been posting, you guys would have known that I've been doing a lot of videos regarding the Arkham series and whether specific characters could survive specific games. In this, I actually wanted to kind of stay within universe and have someone else from the Arkham universe challenge Arkham Asylum and see how they would do. In this case, specifically Nightwing. Nightwing is obviously Batman's first son and his active ward, the person that we've always known as Dick Grayson. He's one of the most well-known characters, and he's probably one of the most popular characters in the Bat family aside from Batman, obviously. And I wanted to just kind of talk about and explain how I think he would do if he had to deal with all of the Arkham Asylum villains and instead of Batman, and he had to deal with them himself. This is obviously just what my thought process would be, so don't like sit here and say, oh, yeah, this is exactly how it would happen. This is just what I'm imagining would happen, and could he survive these events instead of Batman being there? So obviously, before we get started, I'm actively just going to be talking about what Nightwing's actual abilities and the things that he can do are, just to kind of give you more information on him if you don't already know, just to kind of get that started and eventually dive into how I think he would fare against all of the different villains. When it comes to everything that he utilizes, specifically like gadget-wise, he has a wingding, which is just basically similar to Batman's batarangs, and grappling hooks, electrical blast, wing darts, eskrima sticks that he mainly uses, the bat claw, which is obviously the same as Batman's, and they use basically the same appearance. He has a line launcher, and he still has the disruptor, which is going to be extremely useful in almost any occasion if I ever have him do any other videos too. And obviously he has night vision, he has a vocal synthesizer, remote controlled electrical charges, and he has a couple other things like a bow staff that he's used, shurikens, explosive gels, smoke pellets, and scramblers, which are all obviously going to be extremely important in him kind of being able to maneuver his way around Arkham Asylum and being able to deal with a lot of different things, because obviously he's not Batman, so there are a few differences in their exact move sets and exactly how they do, but he obviously was trained by Batman, so he has the same kind of move sets. Might not be to the same extent, but he's still able to do a good portion of the same things that Batman is able to do. Obviously, when it comes to his attributes and abilities that he actively has as a person, he has almost the exact same things as Batman, which is like the peak physical, like human condition, peak human strength, speed, reflexes, agility, durability, stamina, healing, senses, and all of those normal things. But he also does happen to be a master level acrobat due to the fact that he is Dick Grayson and he was a part of the Flying Graysons as a kid, and he was just like a complete like in the circus. So that kind of really would help him out and differentiate him from Batman in a lot of different ways. But obviously this is still someone like Batman, so he still is a master martial artist, has the tactical analysis, expert marksmanship, and master of stealth, infiltration, escape, sabotage, and espionage, along with his genius level intellect. So no matter what, he is still extremely talented, even though he is obviously not Batman. So he's able to still do quite a bit of damage, and he would be able to take on these villains with a different style from Batman, but still be able to do very decently high damage and be able to deal with so much that you wouldn't actually be able to expect the exact same things in any actual format, in any facet anyways. But with all of that basics explanation done and said, let's actively talk about how I think he would fare against the villains, starting off with Zsasz. Victor Zsasz would be a fairly easy villain for Nightwing to be able to defeat, simply due to the fact that he would be able to do almost the exact same things as Batman. Him being a master level acrobat would be allowing him to do the same movements as Batman extremely easily, and be able to maneuver his way all the way behind Zsasz and be able to take him out almost instantaneously. And even then, he is going to be able to easily take out Zsasz no matter which way and whatever he would prefer even possibly doing. So it wouldn't be even like anything like, oh, he can't actively beat Zsasz, because this is still someone trained by Batman, so he's still going to be able to one-shot him almost instantaneously. And the fact that, yes, he might not be able to glide, but he has other ways of maneuvering around that are still going to be able to allow him to do and allow him to make the same movements and get the same results done, the same length and same quickness in all fairness. The Titan Henchmen would probably be a little different of a scenario, simply due to the fact of they do have kind of different fighting styles. So while Nightwing would probably actively use his own weapons that he already has, he would be able to do the same kind of fighting style and actively still be able to fight the Titan henchmen almost on the same level and same footing, but he would easily be able to dodge and move his way out of the Titan henchman's actual path and any of his attacks way easier due to the fact that he's able to move better than Batman and actively able to just maneuver himself way easier with his agility. This would just make it a little easier for him, and he would probably be able to either evade or hit and evade quickly enough to wait out until the Titan henchman would eventually actively just collapse on itself through a heart attack. The first Scarecrow fight would obviously be a very big challenge for Nightwing, simply due to the fact that the fear toxin would still take effect the same way that it did with Batman. And this time, obviously, he wouldn't most likely see any of the same things that Batman would see, and he would actively have a more of a different approach to dealing with the fear toxin in any format. He would still be completely really just like disorientated and not in the complete right mindset, but due to the fact that he was one trained by Batman and he would kind of have somewhere near the same mental fortitude, he would be able to eventually do the same thing that Batman would have done, just in a completely different way because of the fact that, one, his mind is kind of different. He's probably going to be imagining and seeing a lot of different things, but eventually he would probably make his way up to the same thing that Batman was able to do. And obviously there is a lot of similarities between what he would possibly do between Scarecrow and what he would do with all of these villains comparatively, but there are going to be a few different changes in terms of what he would be able to deal with in terms of some of these villains, because he's not going to be able to handle some of these villains the same way that Batman would be able to. This specific Scarecrow first fight is just the only one that would most likely be dealt the same way as anything else. On the other hand, though, Nightwing would probably struggle a little bit with the Bane fight, simply due to the fact of Bane being so damn strong, and him actually most likely having to kind of deal with Bane almost trying to do the same way that Batman would think about doing it. Obviously, he wouldn't know and have Batman in this specific situation, so he would have to be completely on his own doing this, but he would probably eventually be able to take down Bane after a very much difficult fight and quite a bit of struggle on his end, because yes, he might be able to evade Bane a lot easier than Batman would be able to, having to deal with all of the henchmen that Bane has around him and having to deal with Bane at the same time would just be quite a bit of an annoyance. So he would have to focus more on evading Bane's punches and hits than actively trying to attack him and eventually trying to just incapacitate Bane in the easiest way that he would possibly be able to do. Getting thrown into a wall and dealing with anything like that would just be an extreme irritation and annoyance, and eventually probably he would be able to kind of just find a way to cut the actual venom from Bane and take him out that way, but it would be an extremely hard fought match, and there is a possibility of him just not being able to do it either fast enough or maybe kind of not being able to. Obviously, he would survive, yes, because this is still someone trained by Batman, but he would have a much, much difficult time dealing with someone like Bane at this specific point in time. The second Scarecrow fight would be a very big of a difference compared to the first one and compared to what Batman had to deal with, because obviously Nightwing would be seeing different visions instead of what Batman was seeing in terms of his parents' death and everything that he saw like that. He would most likely be seeing something along the lines of the death of his own parents in the circus and seeing a lot of the things from his days as a part of the Flying Graysons. So that would be where more of his like fears would probably be stemming from, and he would have to kind of get through that and utilize and kind of like work with his own mental strength and eventually actively deal with the same kind of strategies that Batman probably would be able to, but it would be obviously a little bit of a different challenge on him because he doesn't have the same levels of mental fortitude as someone like Bruce, and so it would probably be a little bit of a challenge. Not too much, but it would be an issue in some sorts. But either way, due to the fact that he still does have basically the same training as Bruce and the same training that was able to already defeat Scarecrow originally, he would be able to, yes, defeat him. It would just be a little bit of a different scenario and a different situation in the way that he would have to go about doing it, due to the fact that it would probably take more of a mental strain on him in this specific standpoint. In no universe is Harley Quinn actively ever a threat, and specifically this one. This isn't even going to be a very big issue for anybody in the Bat family. This wouldn't be an issue for anybody specifically at all. Nightwing would probably be able to deal with this, honestly, either as fast or faster than Batman was able to, due to the fact that he's just not even bothering trying to deal with this. He would be able to easily just get this out of the way, because even any of the acrobatics that she's able to do, he's able to do better. And he'll be able to like outmaneuver any of those people way better than Batman would be able to normally. So he would probably be able to do it at least at the same speed or faster, as I've already said, than Batman was able to, and just kind of get her out of the equation and get her out of there so insanely fast. That third Scarecrow fight would be an absolute horror show. And I only say that specifically due to the fact that this would obviously be the biggest challenge for Nightwing in this entire game, honestly. Due to the fact of, yes, he probably might be able to take out Scarecrow the same way that Batman would be able to. It would just be honestly a harder fought mission and a harder fought battle due to the fact of the intensity of the fear toxin coming into him as the thing is going along. Batman, yes, has the mental fortitude, but Nightwing, yes, might having some close levels of mental fortitude, wouldn't be at the same level. So this would be affecting him probably a little bit more than Batman actively ever could be affected. So this would just be a very big strain and challenge onto his mind. And he would be able to eventually like get past, because he still has insane mental fortitude due to the fact that he is a part of the Bat family and they all just are crazy like that. But I honestly see him possibly, most likely, just being able to defeat them and like defeat Scarecrow in a honestly different light and a different way that Batman would have been able to, because they have two very, very differing fighting styles. And with any of the gadgets and tech that Nightwing has, he would probably have to utilize a good few of them just to kind of figure out how to deal with Scarecrow on his own. The Killer Croc fight would obviously be an extreme challenge due to the fact that it was a challenge for Batman himself. And so it would be a very quite honestly, a little bit more difficult for Nightwing in a lot of senses. He would actively have to figure out the things about like Poison Ivy and probably do the exact same thing that Batman was doing in terms of Poison Ivy. And he would just obviously have to also dodge and avoid any of Killer Croc's active moves and things that he does. But I have no doubt that eventually he would probably figure out how to use the electricity around Croc's neck to his own disadvantage, whether he's using his own like electric blast that he has, or just kind of figuring out some sort of way to kind of think exactly like Bruce would, and eventually just kind of take Croc out either by messing around and destroying one of the pillars or part of the sewer system just to kind of crush Croc, or honestly just like incapacitating him by some magical way. Like, it would be, I'm telling you, this would be an extremely hard fought battle, because he doesn't have the same, like, he has the knowledge of Killer Croc, but he doesn't have the same experience in terms of like, what Batman's normally able to do. And so I would just have to see him most likely having to deal with the electrical route and figuring out how to just kind of deal and like add and create more electricity based attacks to Killer Croc to kind of just incapacitate him and kind of just deal with him that specific way. But eventually I feel like he would be able to take out Killer Croc in difficult terms. The Poison Ivy fight, on the other hand, would be an extreme challenge for someone like Nightwing. Yes, he has a lot of Batman's intelligence and intellect when it comes to dealing with some of these villains, but the actual enhancements that Poison Ivy has during this fight would be an extreme challenge, and most likely it could easily be something along the lines of he was able to gather the same things that Batman was able to during the actual like Killer Croc fight, but even then, it would just still be a challenge of actively getting to her from where she is and trying to just avoid and evade all of the plans that he's going to be having to do and deal with, which would just be an extremely hard fought fight. So in all fairness, there is a good possibility that he either takes it or loses it during this exact situation. He could easily be able to possibly use the same method that Batman was able to and kind of get the win that way. But if he's not able to do that in the same level of time, it would just be an extremely hard fought match and extremely hard fought battle, due to the fact that Ivy's not gonna, obviously she already knows who this is, so she's not gonna take him easy either way, due to the fact that this is someone of the Bat family's caliber. So it could easily go where he either gets it the same way the Batman did, or obviously not the exact same way, I'm gonna say, but he gets it or just completely fails, not miserably, but just barely fails out of defeating Poison Ivy just because of how strong she is in this specific format, in this specific light. But obviously, the last fight that we would have to be discussing is the Titan Enhanced Joker. And this fight honestly could go either way. And I'm only saying that simply due to the fact that he does have access to the explosive gels. So he could actively do the same maneuvers and like kind of just evade a Joker long enough to eventually find a clear shot where he can take him out, or using his actual weapons that he has, just weaken Joker long enough and fast enough to be able to actively just get a decent solid punch in, which is very likely, but it would just kind of take a little longer than it did take with Bruce doing it. And he would also be focusing specifically obviously on Commissioner Gordon. And so it would just be an extremely annoying process to be dealing with. But I obviously see him being able to eventually take out Joker because of the fact that he has almost the exact same arsenal as Batman, specifically that was already shown to be able to take him out with the solid, very good punch that Dick Grayson would be able to actively hit and take him out the same way. But obviously, with that said, please give me your thoughts and opinions on the specific video down in the comment section below. Tell me if you guys think he would have been able to survive all of these fights. Obviously, this is just my opinion, and I could easily very well be wrong. So please do tell me down in the comment section below. And if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell to get caught up with all the latest videos that I do be posting on this channel. And if you guys are still here, I would suggest that you guys are actively go check out my YouTube memberships, which I have just like started, which will be like linked down below, and you should see like a join button when you look at my channel. So maybe consider like joining. You guys get access to some special perks, and if you guys want to like just support me, please do. But with all that said and done, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.